Hey guys, Chuke here with Chuke's Outdoor Adventures, coming at you with a very different video. Now, up to now, all of my videos have been gear reviews, gun reviews, ballistic experiments, and my hunting and fishing videos. But I just had to do a video on this because I've seen this pop up on Facebook, the grizzly bear versus silverback gorilla. And it is the most wonderful argument I've ever had in my life. In fact, it came up a couple times and I just argued with the guys, and it was just such a great debate. There was good points on both sides, but I've come to a conclusion who I believe would be the winner in a fight, a grizzly bear versus a silverback gorilla, specifically an Alaskan grizzly bear. What would be better would be a coastal brown bear from Alaska. It's a slightly different species. They're a lot bigger. But for now, we'll go with the grizzly bear versus the gorilla. I like to think that in the days of the Roman Empire, that they did pit a gorilla versus a grizzly bear. I'm almost positive it's happened, but the references are kind of vague and you don't really get a full story. I haven't been able to find a story of who won in a fight, but I'm sure the Romans have done it. It's been depicted in different pictures. But anyways, here's the picture that originally sparked the debate. It says, you know, silverback gorilla versus the grizzly bear. And I had a little bit of, I didn't really agree with some of the stats, but here's the stats they list. Silverback gorilla, weight 500 pounds, height 5'11", bite force 1300 psi, strength 4,409 pounds. Grizzly bear, weight 900 pounds, height 10 feet, bite force 1250 psi, and strength 1,102 pounds. First of all, 500 pounds for a silverback, that would have to be pretty big. That's like the largest silverback ever. From what I looked, they're usually about 350 pounds, you know, maybe 450. But anyways, we'll go with that. You know, it would be the biggest silverback ever. But if we're going to go with the biggest silverback, then you want the biggest grizzly bear. It's going to be a lot bigger than 900 pounds, and it's going to be taller than 10 foot. I'll tell you that right now. So size, I mean, the grizzly bear's totally got it. And I don't know where they got this bite force. On one of the things, I saw that the bite force was way higher on the gorilla, but this one, they're almost equal. But the strength of the gorilla is way more than the grizzly bear, and I slightly disagree with that. I think that the strength of a gorilla, I guess pound for pound, definitely would be more. I've read that the way the muscles are laid out on a gorilla, the monkey's bones, that they're just very strong. But I don't know that they would be almost 4 times the strength of a grizzly. I disagree with that. Grizzly bears are very strong. I do believe it would be stronger, but not that much stronger, and then with the weight of the grizzly, but we'll get into that. But anyways, I feel this is a good video for me to do because I'm very bear-centric. I hunt bears, I eat bears, and a majority of my videos are talking about, you know, self-defense guns for bears. So, you know, I center on bears with this, so what a great video to do. So let's just jump into this, and then I'll tell you who I think is going to win. I will say that, you know, when I first started the argument, it was pretty fun because I was just, me and all these guys from Montana and Alaska were just like, oh, you're an idiot, the bear would totally win, it would rip up the gorilla. We were like, yeah, fist bump, grizzly bear wins. But the guys with the gorilla stories did make some good points. And so that kind of opened my mind. I did some research on gorillas, I did some reading, I watched some videos of gorillas fighting and getting mad, and they do make some good points. So let's jump into it. So the silverback gorilla, let's talk about advantages that the silverback would have. Obviously strength, we talked about that. It's got, you know, 3 or 4 times the strength, according to this, you know, non-verified, you know, post on Facebook. I'll just go with that. You know, say I'll give them a handicap, smaller. Definitely has strength. And, you know, just the way their arms are built, you know, all the muscle you see on those gorillas, I'll go with that. So higher strength, that's an advantage. It's a pro for the gorilla. The next one is maneuverability and dexterity. And this is mainly in trees. Now, It's a big myth that grizzly bears can't climb trees. They absolutely can. They just don't do it as much as black bears. But a grizzly bear, even a big one, has been known to climb trees, and you can't get away from them. I've heard people say, oh, just climb a tree, and if they can't push it down, you're fine. No, a grizzly bear will climb that tree and get you if it really wants to. Not as much as black bears, but a silverback gorilla in the trees, huge advantage. You'd be swinging around, jumping from tree to tree, and grizzly bears don't really do that, jump from tree to tree. And definitely silverback gorilla could, maybe have some extra maneuverability jumping around and on top of the bear. So I'll give him that. Opposable thumbs. That is going to be an advantage for the grizzly bear with gripping, using tools. I mean, with the silverback gorilla, gripping, maybe you could pick up a club, I don't know. They have been known to use some tools and do a little bit of throwing, especially chimps. And also the next advantage is intelligence, but not by much. I will say that the gorilla is smarter than the bear, but people don't realize how smart bears actually are. Bears have been known to open car doors. They figure out how to open doors. They've unscrewed, my friend has this thing of oil, vegetable oil, behind his house with a tightened lid on it that screws on, and the bear figured out how to unscrew that lid and remove it. So bears are very smart. They've learned hand signs, and they've juggled, done a little tricycle riding in captivity. I've seen bears in Sitka sit there and do a pray thing and beg and do these little hand signs. So they're smart, but not as smart as a gorilla, of course. A gorilla can learn like 30 different hand signs, and definitely a little bit higher on the intelligence. So if the gorilla could outsmart the bear, come up with more of a plan, strategy, it would definitely have an advantage against the bear in that way. Disadvantages of the silverback gorilla. Smaller. I mean, let's just say it. It's way smaller than the bear. It's a smaller animal. Even if it is stronger, it's not going to be able to compete with the size of the giant grizzly crushing down on it. So it's smaller. No claws. No claws. I mean, all the gorilla's got is its hand to rip and tear if it can and hurt. And it's incisors. It's, top and bottom teeth. That's its weapons. Grizzly bear, we'll talk about it. It's got those huge claws, and that's going to be an advantage. It's not a meat eater. Okay, the gorillas do not eat meat. They've killed each other and they fight in the wild, but they're not meat eaters. Now, you want to know, a better fight would be if a chimp was really big. If you could get a chimpanzee the size of a gorilla, I might change some of my story, because chimps are so mean. They just kill each other. They have war. If they see another chimp pod from another area, they will kill those chimps. I mean, and they eat other chimps, not all the time, but they do eat each other. But gorillas, a little bit of insects, and the rest is just shoots and plants and stuff like that. Whereas a grizzly bear, they recently did a study, these Disney environmentalists like to say, oh, the bear is an omnivore, it's more interested in grubs than meat. No, they just did a study where they strapped a camera on a grizzly bear, and scientists were shocked by how much meat that grizzly bear, it just went around killing things. They kill each other, they're cannibals. I mean, at a bear stand, you shoot a grizzly bear, skin it out, take it out. The next day you come back, that carcass will be completely gone. Everything. The other grizzly bears, they drag it away, they eat it. Black bears do it too. They're cannibals, they eat each other. And just how strong a grizzly bear is. Usually the grizzly bear will eat a baby moose and a baby calf. When it comes to meat, they enjoy the taste. It's an easy kill, a sick old animal. They'll do that. But when they are hungry, they have been known to take down full-size moose and caribou, adult healthy caribou, and that is just crazy. And you've seen some videos of it happening. There's some on YouTube there, but that's insane. So these grizzly bears they're built to destroy other animals, kill them, and eat them, devour them. An ape is not. I mean, they fight, they get aggressive, definitely, but they don't eat other animals like a grizzly does. That's its main thing, is it loves to eat. When you're baiting black bear, you want honey, molasses, sugar, berries, that kind of thing. But grizzly bears, you get them in with bacon and fish and meat. That brings them in. They're meat eaters. So, not a meat eater, the gorilla. And finally, the gorilla disadvantage is it's not quite as violent. It is, the chimps are more violent than gorillas. Gorillas are violent. They're a wild animal. They have their own little culture. There is violence. You know, the males have to, you know, dominate each other. They fight other packs. You know, there's conflict. They can be very, very mean. There's big, mean silverback gorillas, but they are not as violent and as mean as grizzlies. Grizzlies are beautiful killing machines. They are very, very mean. A male grizzly will kill cubs. Gorillas will do that too. Infanticide, it's called. They kill baby gorillas. I don't know why, but I know why grizzlies kill baby bear cubs. They do it sometimes just out of hunger, but the main reason they do it is they kill the bear cubs so that the sow will have to go back into heat and they can have sex again. That's how mean they are. They kill baby cubs just so they can have sex with the mom again. They don't want to wait a whole year. And they kill each other. They typically, just like in gorilla fights, they fight without killing each other, but it has been known, especially if it's a big bear versus a small bear, they'll kill it and eat it. Also, other species of bears, grizzly bears, will sometimes kill and eat a black bear. They're meaner. I feel that they're very, very mean. And I've heard them scream with just pure hatred when I'm out hunting and, you know, make these horrible Sasquatch noises. They're just meaner than gorillas, I feel. But I am also biased. I live and hunt in an area with grizzly bears. Okay, let's get to the grizzly bear. Advantages. Size, we talked about that. The grizzly bear is way bigger. There's bears bigger than 10 foot. There's big bears way bigger than 900 pounds. They're just huge monsters. Speed. Even though I said that the gorilla can have more dexterity and maneuverability, that's true, but I don't believe it's as fast as a bear. A bear runs 40 miles an hour, sometimes a little bit faster, but they've been clocked at 40 miles an hour running in for the kill. I haven't seen a gorilla run that fast. A gorilla's kind of clumsy because, you know, they stand upright, bears do too, but then they kind of run on their palms and they're just kind of awkward, or they run on their fists like that and they're just kind of awkward. A bear will just get into a rolling gait 40 miles an hour. They're on top of you. Nothing's faster than a bear. It's one of the fastest animals in North America that can just do that sprint and get right on top of you. So bear has more speed, I feel. In the initial conflict, they see each other. If the bear wants to get it, he's gonna have the upper hand because he's got all that size and he's going to, you know, he's got the speed. Sheer meanness, I talked about that. The grizzly bear is just meaner. It's a meat eater. It eats other animals. It tears them apart and devours them. But the final advantage of the grizzly bears is the claws. There's no way a gorilla is going to win the fight. A big grizzly bear's got big 6-inch claws on both feet or whatever. You know, a grizzly bear has been known to decapitate a human with one swipe of its paw and its claws. Knock your head clean off. You think it won't do that, or at least partially, to a gorilla? I mean, come on. It's got the speed and the size. If it comes in, just one whap, and that gorilla's head is going to come off. You know, it's probably going to be harder to come off than a human, but it's still going to be just dangling there, and it's going to be dead. And think about it. It's widely known that in fights, you got a really big guy and a small guy fighting. The big guy is going to pound him. He's going to beat him. But if the small guy pulls out a giant knife, sharp razor blade, he knows how to knife fight, that changes everything. Suddenly, the small guy has quite an advantage. It equalizes the whole fight, if not more. And we're talking a bear with multiple knives. You know, the gorilla, like I said, just has hands, like these human-like hands. The grizzly bear's got these giant razors on all of its hands, and it knows how to use them. It can pull all of its force into this deadly sharp point. And, you know, they may be fighting the grizzly just a couple slashes, and that's it. That grizzly that gorilla is toast if the grizzly sinks those claws in. Even if the gorilla is going to try to bite him, the grizzly bear's fur is also thicker. It's got fat and fur, around its neck that's protecting it. That's like giant armor. That's going to be tough for even a gorilla to get through that. I mean, it could, but it's going to bite a bunch of fur and fat, and the grizzly's just going to get those claws in. Now, this would be a difficult fight. I don't think you could get the gorilla's going to be more agile in the trees, and I don't think if they came upon each other, I think the gorilla would just be like, oh, look, it's a giant beast, it smells weird, I'm going to run away and go up in the trees and get away from them. You'd have to force them in a cage to really get this fight to work. Or, the gorilla could have a family with it, and the grizzly bear is really hungry, and they just clash for some reason. Maybe they're in the mountains and there's not a lot of trees around, and the grizzly bear gets on them. Anyways, it'd be hard to make them fight. But I gotta say that the claws are the difference. The only way I could see a gorilla winning, and this is maybe less than 5% chance. Guys, even humans, have been attacked by bears, and they've kind of shoved their arm in the bear's mouth as it was biting them, and it kind of locks the back of the jaw, and they can't bite your arm off because your arm is so deep in there. There was a guy here in Alaska, an old timer, this story, he did that. He was fumbling for his gun, his shotgun messed up because it had dirt in it. He tripped backwards, the bear was on him. He stuck his arm all the way in the bear's mouth and started scratching the back of the bear's throat, just tearing it up with his fingernails. And the bear couldn't get off him. Then he got his .44 out and killed the bear. But anyways, a gorilla, if it was smart enough to realize that, it could pull a King Kong, get its arm in that grizzly bear's mouth, and maybe, if it really does have the 4,000 strength, maybe rip its jaws, dislocate a jaw by ripping the jaws apart. Something like that. I would have to say the gorilla would have to jump, maneuver around, get on its back, on the grizzly's back, and then rip the thing. But very small chance of that. The grizzly bear is too strong. You'd flip them off and just kill them. So there's no way. I mean, there was these guys on that argument that were just, you grizzly bear fanboys are idiots. The gorilla would totally rip them apart. They're so mean. They're not as mean as a grizzly, and they don't have giant daggers on their hands. There is no way a gorilla would win this fight. Maybe if the gorilla was 1,000 pounds, yeah, then it could win. It just doesn't have the size. So anyways, grizzly bear wins. That's my video. Let me know what you guys think. I also apologize for being a flip-flopper. There's been I like all these arguments, and a lot of my arguments are about defensive rounds for bears, and I keep confusing people because they look at my old videos and they're like, wait a minute, now you're using this gun? So I started out with the .44 mag, which I still love. I still think it's the lowest that you want. I went from the .44 mag to a 10 millimeter. I started getting into 10, which I'm still going to get another Glock 20. I was going to get it this week, but now I have to wait for a few weeks. Then I went to the .460 Roland, and then I went to the 500 Smith & Wesson, which I'm going to kind of stick with, but I'm also going back to the 10 millimeter for protection, just because the big revolvers they're not so fun to hunt with because they're so heavy. And I was just talking to some hunters the other day. They were talking about, I don't bring my giant revolver because by the end of the hunt I'm leaning over sideways like that, whereas the Glock 20, you can hike all day with it and not notice. So anyways, that's continuing. I'm going to get another Glock 20 and continue to talk about that. But I appreciate all the comments and likes and subscriptions I've gotten lately, and please let the argument begin. If I am wrong about the grizzly bear winning, tell me why in the comments. I think I've covered all the basics, and I think all you guys are wrong. You guys that say the gorilla would win, you're wrong. So anyways, thanks guys. It's Chuke, your friend in the field.